สวัสดีครับท่านผู้มีเกียรติทุกท่านนะครับผมวินิตคำสมบูรณ์นะครับเป็นตัวแทนของบริษัทSolidBlock ในประเทศไทยนะครับขอขอบคุณทุกท่านนะครับที่ได้สละเวลาเข้ามาฟังการสัมมนาของเราในหัวข้อการแปลงอสังหาริมทรัพย์ให้เป็นเหรียญดิจิทัลนะครับหรือบิตคอยที่เรารู้จักกันนะครับเพื่อในการซื้อขายหรือลงทุนก็อย่างที่เราทราบกันดีนะครับว่าฟินเทคหรือว่าเทคโนโลยีเนี่ยทางด้านการเงินเปลี่ยนแปลงไปมากในโลกปัจจุบันนะครับและขณะนี้ก็มีการทำธุรกรรมโดยใช้เงินดิจิทัลหรือว่าบิตคอยที่เรารู้จักกันเนี่ยซึ่งบริษัท SolidBlock แห่งประเทศอิสราเอลนะครับเป็นหนึ่งในผู้นำทางด้านบล็อกเชนด้านนี้นะครับที่มีแพลตฟอร์มที่ทันสมัยปลอดภัยและที่เป็นของตัวเองส่วนรายละเอียดต่างๆนั้นเนี่ยผมขอให้ทางคุณยาเอลตาม่าผู้บริหารเป็นผู้บรรยายเกี่ยวกับเทคโนโลยีของบริษัทนะครับที่จะมาช่วยส่งเสริมสนับสนุนและทำธุรกรรมทางด้านดิจิทัลให้มีความปลอดภัยและมั่นใจต่อนักลงทุนนะครับเนื่องจากว่าเวลามีจำกัดนะครับเพราะว่าคีย์สปีกเกอร์นี่มีเวลา30 นาทีแล้วก็อีก15 นาทีใช้สำหรับการตอบคำถามครับผมจึงขอโอกาสนี้แนะนำตัวโค CEO แล้วก็เป็นโค founder ของบริษัท SolidBlock มิสยาเอลซาม่านะครับซึ่งเป็นผู้ร่วมก่อตั้งบริษัทมาแต่เริ่มแรกGood afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Since we don't have enough time to cover all the subject as our speaker will have about 30 minutes and 15 minutes plus to question and answer session. So I would like take the opportunity to introduce Ms. Yael Tama, who is our keynote speaker. And Ms. Yael is a co-CEO and also co-founder of the SolidBlock of Israel. She works in make property investment accessible, transparent, and streamlined with SolidBlock. Prior to that, Yael has over a decade of experience as a marketing executive within fintech, finance, telecom, and energy. And we have a long track record in entrepreneurial sales. So we are so fortunate to have her here with us this afternoon. With no further wait any more time, I pass this to Yael, and then she will cover on the subject. And at the end of this, we will have question and answer. And so here, Yael, please take it from me. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. And, very, very excited about opportunities for STO in Thailand and in Southeast Asia overall. And without further ado, let me just share my screen and kind of go through what security token offering is and how it can be done for any sort of real estate. We'll talk about what type of real estate assets are appropriate for security token offering and what, and then I'll be happy to answer any of your questions, all right? Okay, so what in general is a security token offering, STO, right? So the goal of the STO is to make illiquid assets liquid, right? So we transform property into globally accessible digital shares. So instead of selling property in a unit or receiving one large investment from, say, a private equity fund, we now have an opportunity to sell it in fractions to individuals who can then start trading their investments at a later date, right? So the idea is to increase access between investors and real estate projects, which means the sponsors of real estate can now access new and diversified investor pool, and also to create liquidity in the property market, while allowing small, medium, and large investors a greater selection to invest in. Right, so we're able to create a much larger market of assets that have been already built or are planning to be built, and sell those assets to investors in fractions that can be traded. All right, let's talk about how it works. Okay, so in order to create an STO, the first and foremost is we need to issue a security. Now, how do we issue a there's just a plain vanilla, a security that we've been issuing before even blockchain came into the market, right? How do we issue security? At the moment, the way we issue security is by setting up a special vehicle, a special corporate vehicle that will actually be tokenized or broken down into shares. So we need to create that vehicle somewhere in a tax-friendly jurisdiction. So actually in the Southeast Asia, we are looking at Singapore as one of the potential jurisdictions for that. So in order to bring investors into this vehicle, they usually have to pass through regulatory procedures, because we are, again, issuing a security, right? So usually we set up at SolidBlock, for example, we have a platform where investors can go through KYC and AML and accreditation, right? So and then these platforms like ours can also facilitate payment that could be done with a wire transfer, ACH, cryptocurrency, or check, right? So that's the first step for investor onboarding. The second is issuing the security. Now, that's something that's done via specialized platforms like SolidBlock. What exactly is a digital security? Well, in general, a security is some representation of ownership, that the investors came in and put the money in your project. Now, if the project goes public on a stock exchange, then actually that security is being handled by the stock exchange normally, right? They have their own procedures and clearing technology and so on that allows investors to come in and trade, right? We, at the same time, when we have a privately issued security, which is what most investors, most real estate sponsors opt for, when we have a private security, it's not listed on the stock exchange, meaning that it doesn't have to incur all the costs that the listing on the stock exchange entails in itself, and all the reporting and stuff like that. We want to keep the investment private. Now, with the STO, private investment can also be tradable. So how can this be done? How do we know which owners, investors, when they sell this security to someone else, that the security is actually connected to the asset, right? So there's no foul play, there's no fraud. That we know that what you're selling is actually a security that this asset issued to you. So that's where blockchain comes in. Blockchain is technology behind Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other cryptocurrencies that enables tracking financial transactions and facilitating financial transactions without having a regulated and centralized entity like a stock exchange, right? So if we record all the transactions when the security is first issued, when it's bought by investors, when we record this transaction on the blockchain, we're now able to use blockchain for trading, right? So when let's say that you need to raise $10 million for your project, we create what's called a smart contract, which is a blockchain program that allows to record all the investors securely. Now, when the time comes to trade, we can actually allow investors to trade these securities by proving that they actually bought them on via SolidBlock platform or any other platform, and that specific smart contract. So that actually is a revolutionary technology that will change industries like real estate. Will change industries like real estate by allowing them to become more open, accessible, and liquid, right? So issuing digital securities involves creating this smart contract, right? And involves involves distributing the securities into all the investors' individual wallets, right? So the wallets are normally handled by companies like SolidBlock. We have a managed wallet solution, so the investors don't have to worry about anything. It's not, they don't have to worry about keeping the keys. They don't have to worry about, like they normally do with crypto wallets, right? We manage them. They have an opportunity to actually take their investments, take their tokens into their own private wallet if they wanted to. But if they don't want to, they're securely stored on our platform. And then the final step is listing the security on specialized exchanges. There are exchanges that list private securities and all around the world. So depending on certain assets, they might work better with some exchanges. So the exchanges facilitate the trading because they have a wider access to investors. They have their own investor pool. So if somebody wants to sell their shares that they bought, they will have a place to do so. They will actually have a place where they can list their securities and sell them to others. All right. So to recap, what is a digital security offering? Well, we're in a nutshell creating a new financial product. We're not listing it on a primary exchange, like Singapore Stock Exchange, Malaysia Stock Exchange, a Bangkok Stock Exchange. We're not listing it on a primary stock exchange. It's still a privately issued security, right? But it's a new financial product that you're selling. It's which allows us to diversify investor base, facilitate liquidity. We're doing that by creating an SPV, special purpose vehicle. We're tokenizing that SPV, meaning that we break it down into smaller shares or tokens. Then investors buy the tokens representing their ownership in the SPV, right? So usually there is a platform like SolidBlock that handles the tokens issuance, sale, management, distribution. These are specialized platforms, and there are quite a few of those now operating in Thailand. Now, as a result, the asset or fund will be able to take investment compliantly for investors in various jurisdictions and at much lower tickets, right? So let me actually skip this and go straight into an example. This is an example of a REGIS ASPEN coin. It was actually issued by Elevated Returns, a company which I think now actually has a Thailand presence. So they raised $18 million in under 4 months. SolidBlock was the company that provided them with smart contract and investor onboarding. And basically, this was a very, very interesting product because within 18 months, when it was listed, it started trading at an almost 30% premium. So the investors that came in initially and wanted to cash out, they were able to actually make quite a lot of money. Let me see what else I can share with you guys today. Yeah, so this is pretty much it. This is all I wanted to share with you guys in terms of how the STO works. If you're interested in learning more about the whole process, we have a course on tokenization of real estate, a full course, and I will share a 50% discount for anybody who participated in this course. So you'll be able to learn. There's 10 hours explaining from A to Z what really, how real estate models work. If you're new to real estate, anybody here, then, we even go through from the beginning. If you're new to blockchain, we go through the beginning. But if you're not, then we explain in depth compliance issues. We explain tax issues. We explain technological, processes that happen in this STO. So be happy to, if you want to join, and happy to answer any questions. So thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much, Yael.
Sure.
As some of our audience, they might want to, the transcript of this in Thai. So I will try to make an arrangement with Chiba to try to come up with a Thai transcript. And now we have Q&A. Dr. A.
Yeah.
โอเคพี่เอเดี๋ยวปิด statement แล้วก็แนะนำ ให้พวกที่มาฟังท่านมาฟังเนี่ยมีคำถามก็ถามได้เลยนะครับโอเค
ครับ
พี่
ตอนนี้มี
สรุป
คำถามตอนนี้มีคำถามบางคำถามนะฮะว่าโดยทั่วไปเนี่ยทุกครั้งที่มีการแลกเงินขึ้นมาแล้วเป็นอสังหาริมทรัพย์เนี่ยฮะมันจะลงทะเบียนอะไรยังไงแล้วจะเริ่มยังไงสมมุติว่าจะต้องเป็นขั้นตอนยังไงครับตอนนี้มีหลายๆคนเขาฝากถามมาแบบ
พี่เอ
นี้ก่อ
ถาน ม
ครับ
ทางเอลได้เลยไหมครับถามภาษาอังกฤษเลย
ได้ครับเดี๋ยว
Yes.
There's a few questions that they prepared for me, so for me to answer. Like to start as a project, what kind of thing need to be done, and what kind of procedure in order to make the project work, and what kind of property, and what kind of asset is most likely to get the Bitcoin investment?
Yeah.
Yeah, what kind?
Thank you for your question. So in terms of the type of property or the type of project, that would be a very attractive project, just like in any investment, right? So it's likely to be something super interesting. So if we have, let's say, a condo, you know, that can be sold regularly to another person, probably not going to be so interesting. But you have a hotel project with a major brand, or you have some sort of a commercial development that is yielding, that will attract investors. Technically, anything can be tokenized. You know, anything can be tokenized. Any project. If you have investors that previously invested with you, then obviously tokenization is going to be much easier for you. Then you'll just continue what you're doing. You'll bring them a link to a platform where they can come in and securely invest and trade. So that's probably the best use case right now. If this is a new investment that will need a marketing campaign and kind of looking for investors, soliciting and finding investors, then there's different compliance issues that may arise because we are marketing a financial instrument. So there are several platforms, I think, now starting to pop up in Thailand and in other places, which allow also to use their licenses to market this type of a new financial product. So just need to be careful with that. But the best case scenario right now is to use a platform like SolidBlock, which allows, you know, technologically supports the investment process and the payment and the distribution, and use it with an existing investor community, right? So there is like a community of 500, 1,000 people that is investing together in real estate. It's much better for them to invest through a platform like SolidBlock, and we can actually provide it in a white label format.
Okay. I have one question coming into me. Pass to you, please. As you know, there's some country that may not have regulatory or regulate this type of transaction or activity. Now, in terms of STO, is Thailand already regulated, and Thailand is ready to do this, and one thing we are talking about?
Yeah, so in terms of Thailand, I'm not an expert on Thailand, but what we have discovered that there is actually a pathway to regulation. There is a way to do this locally from our conversations with local lawyers, and there are several platforms that we're working with locally to facilitate that. So it is indeed possible, and we'd be happy to work with someone on an offering there and do a first use case. And in terms of outside of Thailand, you know, it's still a gray area. You're right. It's a gray area in many countries. So and as I mentioned, if there is no solicitation involved, likely we can facilitate this type of an offering, you know, with existing investor groups by doing an SPV outside of that country, let's say in Singapore, for example, and then bring investors in. So otherwise, definitely need to consult local lawyers.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, Pierre.
ครับลุงครับเดี๋ยวขอคุยภาษาไทยเพราะมีคนถามภาษาไทยตัวนี้ Can I got some question in Thai, so I ask Uncle first, yeah?
Sure.
ถ้ากรณีสมมุติว่าต้องการระดมสักประมาณ10 ล้านเหรียญน่ะแต่อยู่ๆเงินมันเข้ามาแค่ประมาณ8 ล้านเหรียญอย่างเงี้ยฮะตัวนี้คือมันต้องยกเลิกโครงการหรือว่าต้องไปหา source of funding จากที่อื่นต่อครับ
อันนี้ถามยายเอลหรือถามทางเราครับ
ถามทางยาเอลครับเพราะมันมีคำถามเข้ามาถ้า
โอเคถามได้เลยลุงว่าถามเลยดีกว่าถามเลย
Yarel, okay.
Yes.
For instance, if some project is interesting and there are some people who are purchasing through our platform, for example, they need, let's say, $10 million, but if they get maybe like a $7 or $8 million, if suddenly that one, the buyer who of the failed project get the money back, or do they proceed and finding other source of income? For example, if they're just a little bit under the expectation of investment, for instance, but
Yeah. So basically, we don't have to tokenize the whole asset. We can tokenize just part of the asset. So if they say they need $30 million and they just need 5 or 10 million, then they can tokenize 5 of 10 million. Because we are creating a separate SPV, that SPV is buying a piece of the project. In addition, there are other issues in Thailand, like ownership by a foreign entity, right? So if we have the SPV outside of Thailand, for example, then it will not be able to buy more than 50%, as far as I remember.
Okay.
So, and in any case, so it all depends if they're investors. By the way, I should mention this. That's very important. If we bring investors from outside of Thailand into a Thai property, we don't have to deal with Thai regulation. We only have to deal with any real estate limitations. Meaning, I'll give you an example. If there is an asset, let's say that there's a hotel in Thailand that wants to get tokenized, and they have an investor network in the United States, for example, right? The Thai community in the United States. We can actually create a vehicle in the United States, bring investors in with absolutely no regulation in Thailand touched, right? We can do the same thing in Europe, and we can do the same thing in many other places. So if the investor community is in Thailand, that's when we need to go through local regulation.
I see. Oh, so this is a good news. So it means even if the funding raising is not as the expect quantity, they can tokenize part of their property.
Yes.
And that's one more question that some people ask that, okay, normally in Thailand, real estate separate into things, landowner and developer.
Yes.
Which one do you think SolidBlock will be more kind of useful? That if these two unite together or not really necessary?
Sorry, I didn't get it. If this is what?
Okay, that's a landowner and developer.
Yeah.
Normally, they are different entity.
Yes, correct.
As a SolidBlock, which one would you lean more into, as a developer or as toward landowner?
Yeah, the landowner, because they're more, if it's...
They made the final decision, right?
Yeah, they're the ones who made decisions, correct. So, if they're two separate entities, then we'd be working with the landowner, that's correct.
Okay.
I wonder, Yarel, are the audience be able to ask the question to you, or are they can only send by chat? How they do that?
Can do anything. Credit card is the only, like SolidBlock right now doesn't accept credit cards yet, but maybe some other platforms do, but it's any sort of payment. It's usually any sort of payment.
Okay, what I'm talking about is can they ask the question right now in our seminar right now, because some of them have some question. Can they raise their hand, or can they ask directly? Are the microphone open for them? Turn on for them?
Okay, who do we need to? They need to raise their hands so that we know. But I can allow everybody to talk, actually.
Yeah, please allow everybody to talk. Yeah, because I can see some of them try to come in. Okay, go ahead. There you go. เชิญนะครับท่านผู้สนใจนะฮะที่มานั่งที่มาฟังถ้ามีคำถามอะไรเชิญถามได้เลยนะครับเพื่อจะได้
Yeah, everybody has been allowed.
โดยตรงเลยนะครับเชิญนะครับ Ray Hi hello Ray good to see you and okay anyone have any question you can turn on your microphone and ask anyone okay while we are waiting for that Yael just update you just yesterday Lao government Well, another good news, Lao government just approved the Bitcoin transaction to be handled in Laos. So it's another country next to us. So so I'm wondering that in order for STO to be work in Laos and be able to raise the fund or tokenize, what Lao government have to do in terms of regulatory? What do we have to prepare?
Yes, so I mean, there's very different Bitcoin or security token offering, right? So if they want right now to tokenize an asset and raise money outside of Laos, like even from Thailand, they can do that. They don't have, the only issue is raising from Lao investors, right?
Okay.
And then we have to look into the local regulations. Some of the regulators have what's called a sandbox, where you can go in and you can work together with them on different constraints that they may have. So they might have such a sandbox. If if somebody is inclined to do a local platform like SolidBlock, we can help them and work with them and go in the sandbox and so on. Basically, that's a new business.
Okay, very interesting. So in the home country, if investor in the country, then they must be regulated. But for outside investor, the foreign investor, then they don't need to be under, correct? That's what you say?
Yeah, they don't need to.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, is it possible to tokenize data warehouses?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So you're not restricted to only hotels or properties or condos, but to any assets?
Yeah, we can, I mean, technically we can tokenize even a corporation, right? But right now, real estate is, I think it has the highest benefit. And we do have several clients that have even mining, crypto mining facilities, which essentially are data centers.
Thank you.
What about business operation? Like, for example, like entertainment business, casino business?
Yeah.
Casino resort can?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Great. So pretty much anything can be tokenized. That's a good news. So even that's a good news for the audience that, okay, that you even can tokenize partial part of the company or property.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hello, Ray. Are you there? Ray, do you have any question?
It's a good turnout today.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
So
thank you for the question.
we have from Hong Kong, from Ray, and some from Laos. Of course, I don't recognize the name. มีใครไหมครับที่จะมีคำถามครับเชิญนะครับสุภชัย you have any question
ตอนนี้มีคนแค่อยากรู้ว่าปกติถ้าสมมุติว่าเราเริ่มต้นเนี่ยมันจะเป็นประมาณว่า contract หรือว่าเป็นประมาณว่า investing รูปแบบไหนที่จะเริ่มโปรเจกต์อะฮะลุงตอนนี้มีคนสนใจในรูปแบบว่าจะเริ่มยังไงถ้าเรามีเป็น
I think that many of them are wondering how they can start and how they kick off for their project. I think that I think you have one of the you already showed them in video and step have to take first step, second step, third step, and fourth, 5 step. And I think each step takes so many. I mean, do feasibility study. Am I right? And maybe can you capture all that again about how many steps to take, and then how long it take for 8-9 months or something like that from zero to finish line.
Yeah, so it takes about, well, finish line is depending on how long the investment process takes, but the whole setup right now, if we don't need to, if the investors are outside of Thailand, it can be done in 6 to 8 weeks because you don't need to deal with any regulation. We just have to set up the SPV and do the smart contract, process the product and so on, right? So if it's Thai investors, we need to get local approvals or work with local platforms to do that. So that probably will take a little bit longer, maybe 4 to 5 months in my estimate. But in terms of how you start, we actually at SolidBlock will help you with everything from the beginning to the end. We'll help you actually even update your business model and create materials for investors and so on. And we'll also connect with the local regulators and platforms if needed, right? Regulatory compliant platforms if needed, if you're going to in fact work with the local Thai investors. But basically the process is creating a new company, setting up legal documents, kind of a mini prospectus, and setting the project on the platform with KYC and AML. And then finally, just reaching out to investors, right? So that's the process.
Is the SolidBlock also assisting the to get the investor, to get the capital funding as well? Yeah.
Right now, we do not fundraise.
I mean the sources, the investment sources, or we have the project themselves. They have to go out and reach out to investor. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we don't right now. We do not fundraise. We're.
Are you sure you don't have to report to SEC? Because I thought everything was regulated by the SEC Thailand. So that's what I'm confused about.
Yeah, you absolutely do have to if you solicit local investors. If you work with local Thai investors, that's where the SEC. That's what the SEC regulates.
So if my project is funded by foreign money, then I don't have to report anything to the local authorities. That's what you're trying to say?
The only thing you have to report is the taxation and also any real estate laws, right? So that's it.
Okay. เข้าใจครับ
Very good. That's
okay,
exciting.
so this is very helpful because I think in many Thai investor cases, look like if they only rely on foreign tokenized funding, pretty much no need to go through a lot of Thai law and procedure.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, Thai law has evolved, and I know that there have been, at least attempts to tokenize local assets and properties. So eventually, there will be a good solution. But for now, if somebody has foreign investors, this can go much quicker.
Okay. Okay. So technically, from zero to start recruiting, if only foreign investor, 6 to 8 weeks, right?
Yeah.
6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the very exciting.
พี่เอค่ะพี่
ครับ
พี่เอถามเรื่องที่ความเป็นมาจากอีก different model ด้วยได้ไหมคะ
ได้ครับถามได้เลยครับถามได้เลย
งั้นขอพูดนิดนึงนะ
ได้ครับ
Hello, yes, good afternoon. I'm come fromคุณเอ invite.
Hi, good afternoon.
Yeah, my name is Kwang, okay, and I come from a different model about property. I interested for write a white paper. Yeah, like I have virtual reality, and I have developer team for make property in virtual reality. And when I talked with Kun A about last month, and we have I have an idea about we can coordinate like a real property and virtual property join together. And I have a lot of friends and connect for real property too. So I don't know how to start to do that.
Yeah, so if you have a local project and you want to tokenize, we'll be happy to help and walk you through the process and work with you on setting up a new entity and so on. The only thing that we don't do right now is solicit or advertise. right? So for investors, like right now we're focused on the technology mainly. In the future that might change, and we're actually looking for financial partners to raise a fund together to co-invest in these different opportunities, because we do have, you know, a good look into all these opportunities, and we have a good you know, a way to differentiate good opportunities. And also SolidBlock, you know, does some sort of a level of due diligence in each project, the projects going on our platform. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, maybe I'm looking for yeah, joint venture, because I talk with like hospital, casino, resort, right? Hotel, department store, some property like this. Want to join in virtual. So if investor can deal like virtual and in reality, it will be the best way. Yeah, thank you. So
คือ
can
คือ
I will
คือ
follow
มั
up
นอย่างนี้
with
คุณกวาง เดี๋ยว
A.
คอนเซ็ปต์มันเป็นอย่างนี้คือถ้าของคุณกวางมีเป็นพวก virtual กับมีทั้งพวกคลัสเตอร์ที่เขามาเป็นกลุ่ม invest เนี่ยเราก็มาตั้งเป็นเหมือนกับพวกบริษัทแล้วก็ส่งโครงการเข้าไปเพื่อเป็น tokenize ทางพวกเหรียญพวกอย่างนี้ได้ครับผมว่ามันง่ายกว่านะอย่างนั้น
โอเคเดี๋ยวอันนี้เราคุยกับพี่เอก็ได้
ได้ครับได้ครับได้ครับ
Thank you.
thank you
Okay, I have a question come from Laos, Yael. As you know, we all know Laos have a lot of natural resource. They have mining, gold mining. They have a lot of water, so they use a lot of electricity generated by water, hydropower. So these are the ideal property or asset that they can do STO.
Sorry, yeah, I didn't hear.
Is that Laos is one country next to us.
Yeah, I know.
They have a lot of you know, natural resource. They have hydropower,
Yes.
for example.
Oh, got it.
The hydropower, you know, and generate electricity. Of course, one of my colleagues asked me that can this project can put it in SEO to let the fund.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. This is a great example. Those are great use cases for it.
as well as mining, right? Gold mining and others I mentioned already. So
Yeah, it's amazing actually.
okay,
Great.
yeah, okay. I'll be working with you on that project anyway. Yeah. มีใครไหมครับที่จะถามดี
Sorry.
Okay, so I think we doing very good on time. We only about 5 minutes past our schedule. So anyway, this is our first webinar, and I'm glad we have a quite good turnout. And of course, we will have information available for you, whatever we don't have today. Andคุณลินจีจะเป็นคนติดต่อประสานงานนะครับในกรณีนี้ทางท่านที่ไม่ได้รับข้อมูลหรือว่ามีอะไรสงสัยเพิ่มเติมติดต่อไปทางคุณลินจีได้นะครับตามไลน์ใช่ไหมครับคุณลินจีช่วยแจ้งเลยครับ
ค่ะช่องทางการติดต่อนะคะสำหรับใครที่อยากสอบถามข้อมูลเพิ่มเติมค่ะจะมีทาง Line Official ซึ่งเดี๋ยวจะโพสต์เข้าไปแล้วก็จะส่งอีเมลให้กับทุกคนนะคะว่าถ้ามีใครที่มีคำถามหรืออยากจะสอบถามข้อมูลเพิ่มเติมค่ะสามารถแอดไลน์ผ่านเป็น Line Official ค่ะของทางจีที่ตั้งขึ้นมาเพื่อที่จะซัพพอร์ตในเรื่องของข้อมูลต่างๆนะคะและเดี๋ยวเราจะมีข้อมูลขึ้นหน้าเว็บไซต์ให้ด้วยค่ะก็สำหรับใครที่ต้องการสอบถามข้อมูลเพิ่มเติมหรือต้องการทราบรายละเอียดต่างๆสำหรับเทปวันนี้เดี๋ยวเราจะมีการรันให้ฟังกันดูอีกทีในเวอร์ชันภาษาไทยนะคะค่ะก็เดี๋ยวจะส่งข้อมูลเข้าไปในอีเมลสำหรับคนที่เข้ามาสัมมนาในวันนี้ค่ะเป็นช่องทางการติดต่อที่ง่ายที่สุดค่ะ
Okay, all right. I think we just about run out of time. Unless I give you one more chance to ask question. Anybody มีใครจะถามไหมครับก่อนที่จะปิดการสัมมนา
Okay.
Okay, very good.
All right, thank you everybody for your insightful questions and your time and the opportunity to present. You've been great. Always love to talk to Thai investors and developers, Lao and Myanmar. Always very, very exciting projects. So keep them coming. Happy to cooperate. And thank you, Vinny and Lichi, for organizing this. You've been great. Hopefully we'll work together and do some really good things.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, on behalf of Pop Enterprise and myself, thank you, Yael, and the team to have organized this. It's very good, very encouraging, and very good news. You have clear a lot of questions that we have in Thai investor. So I think that, as I mentioned, this is our first time. We will have more coming. So we can have people have more chance to do business in STO or in the digital fintech. Thank you, Yael. Have a good day. ขอบคุณมากนะครับ บ๊ายบาย
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you